Okay, first up is Siangri, and let's take a look at the blend shapes. So yeah, these are looking pretty good. Looks like you've got a lot of them too, and that's nice. One thing was there was one over here. I can see how these are kind of intersecting each other there. I guess if you look at it smooth, it looks a little better. Yeah, and that chin there is intersecting the some of the mouth surfaces, so I would go in and pull out those points a little bit. This one's called thumb, it looks like. Is that? Oops. That's angry. Ah, this one. So I don't see it there, but if you pull out these vertices here, I'm just going to select this one and shift double click on that one. And if we pull them out here, I'm just going to click on that so I can middle mouse drag. See that? How it fixes it down there because I'm pulling these points out up here. Um, so that works a little bit better. But yeah, really good job on this. So the head's really nice, and you made some good shapes. Next up is Alina. I had to open this in Maya 2018 because it didn't work in Maya 2015. Let's take a look at the blend shapes. So open. It doesn't look like most of them are labeled. It's a good idea to label them. You can label them by labeling the group nodes of the different heads. A lot of these look pretty similar to each other, like this one and that one look almost the same. I might differentiate those a little bit. But yeah, those look good. I think the main thing is just need to add the other facial details like nose, mouth, etc. So, but yeah, it's good that you got the blend shapes working. Next up is Marcus. That one, oh, that's tongue, so we can't really see that unless we open the mouth. Okay. I like how the eyebrows are involved. Might go bigger with this snarl one because that's pretty subtle, especially if he's unless you're really close to the head. Oh, and then you have the separated brows. That looks good. One thing I want to check here is, I guess that's all right. I don't know. I felt like it was reacting a little slow. Okay. Yeah, that's looking really good. I think you did a great job with that. You got a lot of character out of him and some good things. I just might go a little more exaggerated on some of them, so you have more room to work within. Because you don't always have to go to 100%. Sometimes you can go part of the way. So if you make your blend shapes a little bit bigger and more exaggerated, it gives you more options. Okay, next up is Amelia, and not sure if why there's multiple of these blend shapes. I'm guessing you didn't mean to do that. You can just hit this delete button and delete out the extra ones. And now we just have one, so it's better. That's a little bit too subtle. That wide mouth is. I would go bigger on that. Like you don't always have to go to 100%. So if you go more exaggerated on the shapes, you have more options. Um, Good. Yeah, I might go bigger on that one too. So I would make your shapes a little bit more big, a little more exaggerated. You might want to make a few more shapes, and also add some other facial detail like eyes and nose and those kinds of things. Next up is Reese. Let's take a look at these faces. I like how the mustache moves with the mouth. This one's a bit subtle, and you might want to rename these so you know what each one is. Um, yeah, and again, that's I can barely even see the change there. That one has a little more movement. Yeah, like you can go bigger on that one too. Okay, and then you have the mustache separately. So yeah, generally I would say go bigger on these because um, that one's all right, but most of these are too subtle. So make larger shapes. But yeah, the face is looking good. Be good to see it with some eyes and all that as well. Okay, next up is Cody, and looks like you lost the teeth there. Oh, that's interesting. What's going on here? I guess we just don't see them. Yeah. Oh, they move kind of out of the way for that one. So yeah, for this one, let's see which one is it. This one. So what I would do is grab these teeth and go into grab the vertices and move these back. You have to move them by the vertices. You can't move the objects themselves because the blend shapes won't recognize that. They only recognize when you move the vertices. So now um, when I do this, the other thing is, yeah, I might move these back into position for the base shape too, because it looks like your base shape has these, way up and down there. So what I would do probably is, um, whoops, move it, move these down, and move these ones up for the base shape. Whoops, I keep doing that. Right. Let me just turn everything else off. Make sure I'm just selecting points. Okay. And then we create those blend shapes. Turn everything back on. Reveal selected. Okay. So this one, that one, that one, that one, and then that one. I'll delete this old blend shape and then create deformers blend shape. And now let's see how that works. It's better because it was like the teeth were sort of sliding in from above on each of those, and now they seem a little more natural. Yeah, and then get in there and add the extra details: the face, nose, eyes, etc. Um, Next up is Brittany, and she had a question about the lattices. I can see that this lattice is affecting the surface here, but if I look at one of the duplicates, um, that it's not, and that's because when you duplicate it, so I'm just gonna get rid of these duplicates, and when I duplicate this, I have to go to when you duplicate it, you need to go edit, duplicate special options, and I'm just going to reset this and make sure you go to duplicate input graph. And then if we look at this duplicate, if you move this, you see it does work. So what I would say is that, while that's the way to make those work, you don't have to use the lattice to create these shapes. If only use it if it helps you. You can just move the points around to create the shapes as well. Next up is Ashley, and it looks like um, rather than using duplicate special to duplicate the heads, you did copy and paste. And I recommend avoiding copying and pasting objects in Maya because it kind of makes a big mess of things. Um, as you can kind of see here in the outliner, it's just they're all disorganized and kind of a mess. So what you want to do is just have this sort of base head and duplicate special with that. But right now you have all this other stuff and it's all kind of a mixed up mess in here now. So I would take a step back to if you have a version of the file before you did all this copying and pasting, and then select the head group and then do edit, duplicate special options, and duplicate input graph, and then duplicate the head that way. Next up is Jimmy, and Jimmy's having a problem where when you move these sliders, the heads move. I'm not sure exactly what you've done to make that happen, but if I just go through the process here, I'm going to take this group and use duplicate special options, and I have duplicate input graph, and I'm just going to move this one over here, and it's this head there, and let me change this model a little bit. Um, okay, so just to have an example of difference there, and then I'll select this head and control click on that one, create blend shape, and here's this new blend shape I just made, and that doesn't have that problem. And what you'll notice on this one is if I select a vertex and click to show here, and you'll notice that the position of these vertices around, most of these vertices has not changed. The only ones that changed are the ones around the mouth that I've moved. If I can select one of those. There, see, like that one's moved because I've shaped the mouth, but the rest of them haven't. Um, Whereas if I look at one of these heads and I look at these vertices and I do click to show, you see these have all moved. So I'm not exactly sure what you did, but what it looks like you did is that when you moved these duplicates of the head, that you selected like all the vertices of these and moved them up by moving all the vertices of the head rather than moving them in object mode like I did this one. That worked. So easiest thing would be to just delete these blend shapes and delete these duplicate heads and just redo it properly, where you do the duplicate special and then move it in object mode and then adjust the shape to fix it.